You know, Minecraft's fun on its own, but you can never beat playing it with friends. I'm no stranger to playing on servers with my friends, but it's been a hot minute since I've hosted one of my own. So I decided, yeah, sure, why not? Let's open a new server and make a video out of it, inviting the members of my hellhole Discord and some friends to come play with me. Of course, there will be admin abuse, there will be absurd plugins we don't need, and there will be total Emeraldonian death. I'm also going to be running a few of my own mods, such as Better Third Person and Replay mod, for the sake of video production. Anyway, without further ado, allow me to show you the most scuffed Minecraft server ever made, and the story of how we ruined our friendships in the name of in-game glory. With the server opening, my first task would of course be getting basic tools. Something I never realized was, due to the World Edit plugin, I was unable to use my wooden axe, so from here, I simply went about the usual steps, heading deep into the lush caves to mine iron and diamonds. Along the way, Dare managed to find an ancient city, which sparked an idea in the back of my mind. Clear one out and base in the central structure. That's down the line, however, so for now, I was content to just explore the one Dare had found, finding a shit ton of diamond gear and some suspiciously well-enchanted diamond hose. From this point onwards, very little of note happened. I continued to grind for ores and diamonds, stockpiling items in a shitty open-air base I made in a random jungle. During this time, I got full diamond armor and tools, helping to expedite the resource extraction process. Of course, while I'd been deep in the mines, my power went out. Storm Jocelyn was battering the west of Ireland, sniping the power in my area, and in the process, corrupting about 3 hours of footage. Thank you ever. Upon my return, I discovered yet another ancient city, which I of course ransacked. Ancient cities would serve to help me a lot this time around, as they spawn an absolutely absurd amount of books, meaning I could create enough bookshelves for max level enchants. But that's for later. In the meanwhile, it was time for me to find an actual place to live. Using the RTP command, I randomly teleported around the map in search of an island to call home. This was entirely to make a joke about basing on Epstein Island, but Dare beat me to it. Apparently, Dare not only found a very nice island to base on, but had just been given a house made entirely in creative. A very nice looking house, might I add. It was while I was here, Park decided he would do a little trolling, nearly crushing Dare with about 10 anvils. Meanwhile, Park decided to make a church, which would be semi-important down the line. Also, the anomaly, an entity created entirely by accident. Thank you, Park. Marriage, the union of two people. I'm about to get married. In Minecraft. This is because the XP share mod we use is presented under the guise of a marriage plugin. Don't ask why, it just is. But before I can get married, come up to the confessional.
I like how the light shines through it, that's really nice.
What do you mean the confessional?
Hey, let me do that. That's pretty nice.
Anyway, whap bam boom, married. With that done, I decided it was homemaking time, And by that, I mean I'm gonna finally clear out that ancient city and make a base in it. To do this, I first needed to remove every Skulk Shrieker in the area, which was as mighty of a task as it sounds. All of this combined with the wardens that kept spawning and having to clear out the central structure made this incredibly tedious and at times annoying. I did get it finished after an hour or two though. By now, things were ramping up on the server, with structures such as the literal World Trade Centers popping up. Mittens was also able to join during this time, after I bought him a new copy of Java Edition and effectively had him indebted to me. So, obviously, I put him to work clearing the ruins of my ancient city. Call that shit indentured servitude. This was the beginning of a new chapter, a new civilization. Here I would build SCULKTOWN. Yes, that's what I'm naming it. Obviously, we have Mittens here at the moment, working, you know, his indentured servitude and all that. But I don't like looking at his face, so
Mittens, as a deep slate mine slave, you have
as a deep schlatt miner, yeah.
as a deep schlatt miner, you have no personality, so I need you to put this on.
As a miner.
What are you asking him to wear? Is this a maid costume?
I fucking
miner.
I've been working away.
obviously during this time I continued to renovate the city, clearing the remaining Shriekers and maybe spawning the odd warden. Thankfully, I could just send them to the Never to get rid of them. For fun, I tried sending Mittens through after it.
You put all the stuff in here. I need you to go through the portal.
No.
However, he insisted he get paid for it like the leech he is. Thankfully, I had a Greek foreign worker on hand to do it instead. And unfortunately, while Lama was in the Never and my Polish migrant worker attempted to renegotiate his contract, this happened.
Okay, 57 diamond.
I described dealing with this as not fun. I was pretty pissed because I lost all my levels, so Floof just...
Fuck. Oh yeah, I have.
Yeah. Obviously I enchanted all my stuff, what do you expect me to do? Anyway, then we gave Mittens something to the tune of 2,000 items. Floof wanted me to give him 6,000, but I'm pretty sure had I done that, his poor little Polish shitbox PC would have exploded. By now, we were beginning to talk about the end. Me and Park decided we were going to start banging out some ender pearls and blaze powder for it. I'm gonna be honest, I immediately misplaced my blaze powder in the potion area I made whenever I got back to base. Of course, I also continued to mine some of the ruined structures and also set up some certified SCULKTOWN exports by allowing Park and Dare to mine my Skulk for XP. So now, with all that done, it was time to shift towards weapons development. Los Skulkos. Here I'd figure out how Skulk spreads. Once I sussed it all out, I skulked Amerdon, the punching bag of the server.
Oh god, it seems like fucking Oppenheimer. Ah!
It's like Oppenheimer.
And then I skulked him again.
Okay, so the resolution today will be the imminent invasion of.
Why is Mittens on fire?
So they started a UN LARP because of my Skulk warfare?
Council of Nations United Task Force to deal with existential threats like Auschwitz.
Also, Lamaggio built Auschwitz. Amazing. Meanwhile, Amerdon continued to be the punching bag of the server.
And he decides to like mess up everything I make, right? And he's quite an idiot. And he's
Shut up, you British mongoloid.
Mittens had gone from being a slave in SCULKTOWN to a German colonialist, settling a colony of his nation-state, the Bund, right outside of Timothy's borders. A good old-fashioned border conflict that clearly required mediation. So I made a really good bow and started shooting people, specifically Tim, because I support colonialism. Also, I named my bow Elliot Rogers Firearm.
Elliot Rogers firearm!
In addition to the Bun-Emerdonian border conflict, there was also a Dariku-sponsored pillager invasion of Amerdon. Then, Timothy made a fortress across the river from New Bavaria. Clearly, escalation was inevitable, so I built a ship off the coast of Amerdon as a show of force and then proceeded to do nothing about it. And then, Park did the greatest thing ever. Of all time. The ripples of this transgression against Emerdon, while not felt yet, would rear their head within time and sting. A series of events unfolding, culminating in the ultimate crime. However, now it was time for the end. A long march past the server's planes to find the stronghold, past the World Trade Centers that lagged everyone's games, thank you Floof, and into the stronghold, activating the portal and preparing for the final battle. And we did it. But that's not the end. No, we're not even close to the end. There's still another 320 gigs of footage here for me to go through. Obviously, Park stole the egg. That's a given every time we play with him. I preoccupied myself with finding an end city, RTPing around until I eventually found one, sacking it and acquiring an elytra. It was then we got off. All of us either going to sleep or going to do other things, none the wiser as to what would come next. 3 hours later, 1 a.m. Park's base, saloon, had been burnt to the fucking ground. Something which we had only learned of while we were randomly talking in a call. A little investigation from Floof found that the only people online were Tim and his boyfriend. For some reason, they also blew up their own house. I'm not sure if it was to try and frame someone like Mittens or just because they were going scorched earth on everything. Anyway, obviously we found where they moved all their stuff and proceeded to blow it the fuck up. And then we banned them. I genuinely don't know how a punji trap is going to spur someone to raise one of the nicest bases on the server, but I will definitely say it soured the mood that night. We bounced right back the following day, however, with me occupying myself with the expansion of my base and engaging in some good old capitalism. Originally, my expansion was going to be a farm, except I never actually planted anything in it. Instead, I went and fought the Ender Dragon again, hit a few end cities and ventured deep into the mines, all in an effort to put off actually building my base. I even went as far as to invoke my inner Romanian and gypsy all the resources I could out of Floof's twin towers, working with my Polish foreign workers to steal all the iron and pawn it off at the Zadupiastan tractor factory. Yeah, it would take me another 2 days to get back to working on it. In that time, I built a meth lab and fought the Wyver. I didn't record it because I'm retarded, so you'll have to take this very cool and nice cinematic footage I have instead. Also, moving back to the topic of Floof's towers for a minute, our little mining venture ended up with her deleting them, so hooray Team Gypsy. Also, we punji trapped Mittens' house. It was around this time Park acquired a silenced armor trim, arguably the coolest one in the whole game. For some reason, however, he just wouldn't let me craft another copy of it for myself. Don't know why, he just wouldn't for no actual reason in particular. So I decided to say fuck it and conscript a dare to find me some ancient cities using his mystical knowledge of having a plugin that tells him exactly where structures spawn. Turns out there's a city like 200 or so blocks away from SCULKTOWN, so we hit that one first, and for reference, Park searched 7 or 8 ancient cities before he got his trim. We immediately found one.
First one, by the way, I'm so sorry, Park.
So I'm gonna be killing you.
After that little sideshow, I went back to just working on my base and farming an absurd amount of clay, grabbing 2 axolotls while I was in a lush cave. Over the next 2 days, I finished the few projects I had planned for my base, naming the 2 axolotls Dipper and Mabel respectively. For some reason, people didn't like that. Clearly not a true Gravity Falls patriot.
You?
From there, I got up to some hijinks, such as randomly teleporting into Auschwitz.
Did I just RTP into Auschwitz? No!
To handing off a shulker full of clay to Lamo to assist in his completion of Auschwitz. There and I also hit an underwater temple to get sponges and tied armor trims. Speaking of underwater stuff, I finally got to see Alpha's submarine base, which is honestly probably the coolest base on the server, aside from the sculptural appropriation.
You fucking appropriating my culture? What the fuck is this room?
If you don't have control
Where the fuck did you just come out of?
Actually, now that we're mentioning Dare, during all this he'd be messing around with the archaeology mechanics that were added in 1.20. He'd been doing this for pottery shards to make pots. Archaeology requires you to sand off special types of gravel and sand, found in ocean ruins using a brush, the only item worth actually smelting copper for. Originally, I was in it for the pots to use as decorations, but eventually I found out about the sniffer, a mob that doesn't spawn naturally in the world and requires you to uncover an egg in warm ocean ruins. I could give you the long and frivolous story of my 6 or so hour long hunt, or I could play the clip of when I found the sniffer egg.
Yes!
Wait, where did he do it?
With that, so began the life of Warm Ocean. My anticipation for the sniffer's arrival was frankly fucking absurd. Every little change, every little crack had my full attention.
Oh no, it's making noises, Mac. Look, it changed.
More and more people arrived to witness the sniffer. I threw emeralds at the egg to bless the sniffer with good luck, and eventually, he have risen. People had doubted me, said the sniffer was absolutely pointless, yet here I was, half the server in SCULKTOWN's gardens, witnessing Warm Ocean in all his glory as he walked the earth for the first time. For context, sniffers literally only exist to dig up 2 rare flowers. That is their whole purpose, and of course, once he had grown, he began to dig.
Oh! Yes! He's doing it! Yeah!
Truly, this was peak Minecraft. By now, everyone was slowly beginning to lose interest. There wasn't exactly much to do. I was actually so bored, I started writing LARP books. Park was also on his admin abuse grind set, setting out to harass us with his Luftwaffe. And also his Ender Dragon, which, by the way, damage scales with size, so that shit was able to one-tap someone in full Neverite with Prop 4. The Nintendo shit cube also exists. Around this time, we began floating the idea of unbanning Urania and Tim to fuck with them. Flu thought it was appropriate to add a land claim plugin so they couldn't blow up more shit, which meant I had to slowly claim every bit of my ancient city. Also, Park invited me over to his house to check something out, and
Oh, space AIDS right now. You don't know how bad it is.
did he just give me AIDS? Anyway, I soon went back to expanding my base, creating a large area which I could farm in and breed animals, namely chicken and pigs. Urania also finally rejoined the server, and Park immediately took to fucking with him by telling him there was a Herobrine plugin, doing subtle things around his base like swapping his torches with redstone ones and playing weird noises using commands. We quite literally spent a solid 2 hours in VC fucking with him. Urania, I don't know if you'll ever see this, but you got boofed. Also, I finished my farm. Now was the time for the Belt and Road Initiative, my plan to connect everyone's bases via the Nether. First, I flattened the area around my portal, then began mining the 600 or so blocks required to get to Mittens' base. Following this, I made a route over to Dare's portal, and holy shit, I have never met a bigger crybaby about fucking Never highways in my life. Dare, you suck. Also, we connected Beast's portal, but that was kinda not important. In the background to all this, Park had been plotting and scheming. In his own time, he'd been building an arena minigame for us to play, based entirely off of Pixel Gun 3D. It was genuinely fun, except for whenever Dare would spawn behind me and shank me. Anyway, then I laid the tracks for my Never Highway and finished my portal area. By now though, I had officially become burnt out from Minecraft, with 2 months of playing leaving me with very little to do now. So, I decided I would go out with a bang. There was never any proper retribution for the fire of Saloon. Never anything more than what could be called a slap on the wrist. I aim to rectify this. So there you have it, the multiplayer experience. 2 months of footage condensed into a chunky little video. This was probably the most fun I ever had recording a video. I think you can probably tell through how much effort I threw into this one. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm thinking I'm gonna leave Minecraft for a bit now that I've done 3 videos on it, but who knows, I may come back to it down the line. I had some plans for modded playthroughs, but I want to get other things out the way first. So anyway, like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.